More than half of Australia's population is in lockdown.
It's been on the record for some time that 80% gives us much greater freedoms than we're seeing during the pandemic. But we know that it's also incremental. Once we hit milestones, once you get to 50% vaccination, 60%, 70%, it obviously triggers more freedoms.
Australia's military has been called in to help enforce a COVID-19 lockdown in Sydney. 300 troops and thousands of police will be deployed to enforce tougher measures.
Yeah, I mean, for Sydney, this is a new stage in this pandemic, prompting the army to be called in, for restrictions to be tightened and for fines to increase. For certain hotspot areas, people aren't allowed to leave a 5-kilometre radius. They have to wear a mask, even outdoors, or face a $500 fine. And people aren't allowed to visit households. That's citywide. And authorities will be knocking on doors to check.
You need to make sure you wear a mask now at all times. So if you step foot outside your household, you need to wear a mask at all times. It doesn't matter where it is. Secondly, if you live in a local government area of concern, from midnight tomorrow, you can only move within a 5-kilometre radius of your home. So it doesn't matter what the reason is, but statewide, it's pretty clear when you need to wear a mask, and if you don't, you will be penalised, and the penalties will go up from $200 to $500. Whether it's prolonged lockdowns or whether it's short, sharp lockdowns, you can't live with Delta until the vast majority of our population is vaccinated, and I can't say that more strongly or more clearly. The challenge for us is to get as many people vaccinated in August as possible, so that by the time August 28 comes around, we have a number of options before us as to how we can ease restrictions. And I want to make that very clear. We know the health advice says that the vaccines are both very safe, both very effective. That to date, I haven't been advised of anybody in intensive care that's had both doses of the vaccination, and that's really positive.
141 people are in hospital with COVID at present, and 43 are in intensive care. This is affecting people of all ages with very serious disease. All but one are vaccinated. One person has just received one dose of vaccine.
I cannot believe this shit.
What, in your view, is a realistic timeline for the opening of Australia's borders?
Well, look, I think probably not before the first quarter of next year. That's to say the March quarter of 2022. And the reason is that we simply won't have enough of the mRNA vaccines until, October, November, to get a large percentage of the population vaccinated.
Today is the first full day of the New World Order. Outdoor gatherings are limited to 2 people. Exercise is allowed, but no further than a 10-kilometre radius from your home. Browsing in shops is not permitted. Only 1 person per household may leave to do essential shopping. And from tomorrow, funerals are limited to 10 people.
This is a world pandemic. It's a 1 in 100-year event. So you can expect that we will have transmission from time to time, and that's just the way it is. We've got to accept that this is the New World Order.
I want to be straight with you. There will be no return to the old normal for the foreseeable future. I repeat, there will be no return to the old normal for the foreseeable future.
So people assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had, and everything will be normal again in how we are used to normal, in the old fashion. This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen.
A vaccine on its own will not end the pandemic. Surveillance will need to continue. People will still need to be tested, isolated, and cared for. Contacts will still need to be traced and quarantined. Communities will still need to be engaged.
It is a big idea, a new world order. We can find meaning and reward by serving some higher purpose than ourselves. A shining purpose, the illumination of 1,000 points of light.
It's no longer a theory. What I'm about to say is fact. The secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret. They have planned and are now leading us into a one-world communist government. This is terrorism of the most worst kind, brought on you by our own government.
To lead in shaping a new world order for the 21st century.
Well, we're all responsible for our own health. And when it comes to informed consent and giving consent to whatever treatment or procedure you may have or I may have, then I'm ultimately responsible for what people do in their health treatment to me. And there has been the opportunity for people to visit their GP, to have that consultation. The government has provided that and funded that. And the informed consent process provides the decision to the individual. That's the sort of country we live in. People make their own decisions about their own health and their own bodies. That's why we don't have mandatory vaccination in relation to the general population here, because people make their own decisions. And we encourage people to make those decisions. We make as much information available to them as possible. The vaccines, like any vaccine, with any vaccine, there are risks associated, and I won't go into each of the individual ones because I don't want to particularly draw attention to anyone. But we all understand that with any vaccine, there are risk factors, and they're enumerated and they're made available to people, and people make decisions about that.